Good evening, black people and all allies fighting for black liberation, black prosperity, and black joy. I'm Charles Blow, and welcome to Prime. The political headwinds have changed fast for President Biden. 5 months after receiving blowback for pulling U.S. troops out of Afghanistan, the president announced today that the leader of ISIS died in a dramatic U.S. military raid overnight in Syria. Many feared leaving Afghanistan would allow the terrorist organization to retake the country from the Taliban and strengthen their presence in the region. But the exit from Afghanistan did not appear to pose an issue for capturing and killing the ISIS leader, which Biden said the U.S. did while successfully evacuating 10 civilians.
Last night's operation took a major terrorist leader off the battlefield, and it sent a strong message to terrorists around the world. We will come after you and find you. Once again, today, we continue our unceasing effort to keep the American people safe and to strengthen the security of our allies and partners around the world.
The president is also trying to stave off a potential Russian invasion into Ukraine. After multiple diplomatic talks failed to de-escalate Russian forces, Biden formally approved the deployment of 3,000 troops into Eastern Europe yesterday. It's the clearest sign to date that the U.S. plans to step into the conflict if Russia's president makes a move. The headwinds have shifted at home as well. A year ago, Biden campaign successfully rode the coattails of a powerful protest movement against police violence. Biden himself never embraced the defund the police movement, but he heeded the calls of Black Lives Matter activists pushing for a reimagined justice system. Those same activists in turn helped mobilize millions of black voters to the polls for Biden. But as one representative from New York claimed earlier today on MSNBC, the defund the police movement is dead. After an uptick in crime and a string of shootings in New York City, Biden has struck an allegiance with the country's newest tough-on-crime pro-police mayor. Convening at New York City's police headquarters, the president and attorney general sat down with Mayor Eric Adams today to discuss efforts to tackle gun violence.
We need, as I stated, a 9/11 type response to address the domestic terror that is pervasive in this city and country. And President Biden is here to deliver on his promise to come here. He committed to it, and he is here. And get New Yorkers the backup we need. And we want to get stuff done. That's the administration of the Biden's administration and the Adams administration, to get stuff done for the American people. And Mr. President, Eric Adams is reporting for duty and ready to serve.
Shortly before his address, Biden called for $300 million to expand the DOJ's community policing program.
Mayor Adams, you and I agree. The answer is not to abandon our streets. That's not the answer. The answer is to come together, the police and communities, building trust and making us all safer. The answer is not to defund the police. It's to give you the tools, the training, the funding to be partners, to be protectors, and community needs you.
Joining me now to discuss, Jumaane Williams, public advocate for New York City. So, Jamani, there's no two ways about this. What both Adams and President Biden want to do now is to dramatically increase funding for policing in America. What do you make of both what they're saying and also their kind of bromance that's happening here in New York City?
Well, one, just having been a leading voice on these issues for a decade in the city, 10 years ago, we put out a report. And just last week, we put out our 2.0 report. I do have to say, we've been asking for federal, state, and city intervention on gun violence for a very long time. So to that end, I'm very glad that the president was here. I'm very glad they're lifting up these issues. They're also adopting many of the things that we put in that initial report and the things that we put out even before. I would say we do want to see some of the non-law enforcement responses get fleshed out a little bit more because we need to see the same kind of level of investment in those. I am happy that they're talking about it. We do have some concerns about how much investment we're going to put in the law enforcement response, only because we've seen that before, and then people had to apologize years later.
So what are the things in your initial report that are being adopted by Adams and Biden?
Well, we created and got the first seed money for our crisis management system. People know them as violence interrupters. There's so much more that goes into it. And it went from 5 groups to, I think it's over 40 now, $5 million up to $80 million. The last administration did expand it greatly, but they never structuralized it. And so they were always like on the kids' table, while the NYPD led on the adults' table. And we have said for so long, we have to structuralize this approach as equal partners to what public safety is. We have to bring in other agencies to be a part of discussion. We have to integrate them to help with the united front of how we're going to address this. So that part makes sense. Also, when it comes to law enforcement, we very much have always wanted to focus on the trafficking of guns that are going on in these cities all across the country. So to that end, there's a lot there. But to the end of where we're saying we simply need to add more policing, we have to look at bail reform and things that have nothing to do with the gun violence that we can see. That's where we do have a little bit of concern. In New York City, we've had record number of gun arrests last year and this year, record number of guns taking off the street. Where we agree is that the court system is maybe not moving as fast as we would like. What we don't want to do is just have a knee-jerk reaction, again, that causes more trauma to the community. We understand our law enforcement partners have a real role to play. We just lost 2 law enforcement officers in New York City. But we have to make sure that we're building out the infrastructure to really get to the root causes of what's causing the gun violence in the first place.
Well, the root cause of the trafficking is Swiss cheese kind of gun laws across the country. So you can buy these in one state and can't buy them very easily in another, and so people move them around across state lines. Let me ask you another question, though. Part of what Adams is suggesting is to crack down and be harsher on juveniles who may also be in possession of illegal guns. What do you make of that proposal, and is that part of something that you were advocating or not?
What we found in the logic, I think they were talking about changing raise your age because we stopped charging young people as adults. And again, what that might do is just shift who's actually doing the shooting. Shooters may then get younger or go back to older age based on the argument that they're putting forth. We want the shooting not to happen to begin with. And so I always say this is not in spite of having accountability and consequences for your actions. You have to do that. You can't shoot a baby. You can't shoot police officers. You can't shoot somebody in a Burger King who's trying to go to work. But what we want to make sure we do is not put all of our resources and structure into the accountability and consequences, so much so that we prevent the thing from happening in the first place. People decades later apologized for 3 strikes and you're out because it didn't do what they said it would, but it just caused additional trauma and incarceration for these same communities that were suffering to begin with. And so we're asking that they use evidence-based models to address what's going on now, understanding that people are rightfully concerned as we see gun violence go up. But these things that we put forward helped us get to where we were in 2018 and 2019, and we actually begged for us to get more resources and structure as the pandemic, because we knew it was only going to get worse.
So Biden didn't only go to the police headquarters today. He also went into the community, went to some intervention programs, which many activists thought was a good sign that it was going to be a 2-pronged approach. It wasn't going to be all stick. It was going to be some carrot. What did you make of Biden trying to at least be on both sides of this issue, both on the prevention side and giving attention to and hopefully some funding to eventually people on the prevention side who help community, in addition to rah-rah on the police side and promising more funding for more policing?
It was amazing to see that happen. That was from that particular group. Cade Main, my brother from another. I'm so proud of the work that he's doing. That funding actually came from some of the original funding that we had 10 years ago, was part of some of the expansion that happened. So I was excited to see him go and see what's going on there, understand the human justice model that they're doing there, and have had such great success in Queensbridge, one of the largest housing complexes in the entire country. And so it was great to see that happen. We have to do some more effort in building out what that looks like, because one of the reasons we go to the law enforcement sometimes is because that structure has been built, has been funded, has been structuralized. Some of these others have not. And we have to do a good job of dealing with the supply and also the demand, and what's causing these folks to communicate through violence to begin with. We actually know what works. We just have to have the courage now to do it on the same city, state, and federal level that they're discussing some of this law enforcement. They have to discuss some of these other things as well, how to structuralize it, how to get it funded. I mean, N was saying what we've asked the state to do, the last governor, is ask for a public safety plan. He asked for a policing plan and held money until they got it. What we need is an actual public safety plan, of which policing transparently and transparency and accountability is a part of.
Jamani, I have less than a minute left, but Mayor Adams keeps calling himself the Biden of Brooklyn. What does that mean to you?
You know, I joked with the mayor once. I wish I had as much confidence as he does when he moves around. But look, you know, it seems to be, you know, working for him. I want to actually focus on the parts where we agree. I think he's trying to exude confidence for the people of the city of New York. I think New Yorkers do respond to confident leadership. We are at a moment where New Yorkers do need to see unity. And so there are points of disagreement that we have, and we'll talk about that. But we want to make sure we're pushing on the points of unified approach because we can lead the city on how to lead this nation on how to address gun violence. And so if he wants to be the Biden of Brooklyn and help us deal with the gun violence in a way that is just, equitable, and not relearning the lessons of the past, so be it.
Jumaane Williams, thank you as always for joining us. I really appreciate your time.